Hello again, everyone. It's Joe Abadi for Vintage Motocross Q&A, reporting from the Mecum motorcycle auction in Las Vegas. There are so many bikes here to see. It is absolutely incredible the amount of motorcycles that are under one roof and will all be for sale over the next several days. Here's a beautiful Voltaco Astro. We've got a Pomeroy replica next to it, and just a little bit further down, a very unusual looking Mecum 501. Fox air shocks. They're moved up on the swing arm a bit, and it's got a pair of what appear to be Fox. Well, no, they're not Fox forks. These are they look like Marzocchi forks to me. But anyway, here it is, a 73 501, and we're just going to continue going down the line here. We'll stop and take a look at some of the bikes on the way that I think will be of interest to everyone here at the Vintage Motocross Q&A page. Nice little 78 YZ80. And right alongside of it, looks like a fairly original Suzuki TM 400. If one cylinder isn't enough, or two or even four, we've got a Super Sport Honda here, CBX, with six cylinders in there. But we're going to continue on down, and I'm going to bring the camera around to the other side to show you a very unique display that's been brought here by the King of Carlsbad, Garrett Walsink. Walsink has done very well here at the auction over the past few years. If you remember, I think it was last year, he had an RN 500 here that brought well over $72,000. And what Garrett has this year is a 360 twin pipe. Looks very well detailed. The pipes, the spokes, the rims. It's an absolutely beautiful bike. Next to it, a 1971 Husky 400 GP. Garrett said that this is one of his personal bikes that he raced at one time. And he's got some beautiful pull-up displays here from the Garrett Walsink collection. And if you're a Garrett Walsink fan, I think he's going to be here in the States for a while. He's probably going to be attending the Carlsbad reunion after the San Diego Supercross, which is coming up in just a few weeks. He's also got a 67 Husky 250 here as well. Just across the aisle, we've got a Harley 250 MX. This bike has reproduction fenders on it. As you can tell, it's a very, very high gloss. They've been painted, perhaps somewhat over-restored, with the hubs being brought to such a high luster and the rims being polished so much as well. But overall, a real nice bike with the correct grips. I don't know about these handlebars. They don't really seem like any of the bars that I've seen on a Harley. But overall, just a great looking bike. And yesterday, if you have been watching the auction, you would have seen that a pre-production Harley, the one with the forks on the back that is always so controversial when it comes to people claiming how many were made. Anyway, yesterday one was sold for over $23,000. There's another Harley just across the aisle on the other side. And this place is just so big, it's kind of difficult for me to get right to some of the motocross stuff. So we're going by a lot of older street bikes, your Triumphs, BSAs, some old Harleys. Something's kind of interesting here with a shift on it. 4-cylinder bike. It's a 1942 Indian 442.
I rode it around. I rode it a couple miles around the neighborhood.
Here's one of Dave Boydston's bikes. I know they're going to be coming up for sale sometimes this afternoon. Here's one that he calls the Copper Classic. And it is a bit unusual. I think it'll take a very, well, I'm not sure what kind of buyer is going to be after a piece like this, but this is Vegas where anything can happen. And a bike this unusual just may catch somebody's eye. And somebody's going to go home with this very unusual looking CZ. Over here, another bike by Dave Boyden. A very, very well done 1975 Falta 250. These pipes are so difficult to come by. I've been looking for one for years, never was really able to find one. Dave's done a beautiful job on this bike. The paint looks real nice on the tank. He's got the heavier triple clamp on the bottom. And just a really well done bike by Dave at AMS. It's got the correct handlebars on it. And everything looks as it should. I'm going to go down a couple of more bikes here. We're going to take a look at what somebody is calling a Jimmy Weinert replica OW. It is a 1975 YZ360 strap-on tank bike. I believe the rear swing arm is not original to this bike. I don't know what model came with a round swing arm like that as opposed to the rectangle tubing. Of course, they've put on the YZ250C fork emulators, or air canister forks. And they've done a pretty good job at capturing basically what was a similar bike to what Jim Weinert rode during the 1975 season. At this point, I'd also like to thank our sponsors, TMC Company down in Southern California, a great place if you're looking to rent a vintage bike for the weekend. Tom Corley is also doing restorations there as well. And of course, our other sponsor, Vintco. Vintco has an amazing catalog full of parts, and we're going to be talking more about Vintco in some upcoming shows, probably when we return this coming Wednesday to our regularly scheduled time. Got a 1973 Rickman Triumph. Got an unusual tire choice on there, I think, for a bike like this. So I don't know what's behind that, but this bike is very well done. Paint is beautiful, and it doesn't look overdone. I'm going to move over. I see a CZ and a couple of Huskies here I'd like to show you. The mini bikes did very, very well again this year. Not as strong as they did last year, where we saw a monkey bike do $18,000. But this year we saw something similar. It was another monkey bike, and it brought over $12,000. 1974 CR250 Mag, a 1973 400 Desert Master, and a 1972 Husky WR. There's Motos, there's Ducatis, there's a little bit of everything here at the auction. This bike right here is a CZ400, and it sold this morning. I believe this is the one, F68, so that would be Friday. It was a 68th bike to be auctioned off, and it went for over $8,000. It is a restoration, but from what I can see, maybe with the exception of the hubs, it does appear to be a very correct restoration. Over here we've got a very nice BSA. It's a 1968 Victor B44 GP. As the English like to call it, the bright work is absolutely brilliant on the bike. It's got that great little motor cradled in there in the frame, all the chrome, the paint. This is really, really a pretty bike. I'm going to stroll down here a little bit more and see if we can't find a few more vintage motocross bikes that I can bring to you. And you'll have to be a little patient with me. I may have to walk all the way around the other side to get a glimpse at some of the other bikes that people here at Vintage Motocross Q&A would be interested in. Well, here's a great little Enduro, a 1969 Husqvarna 360 Sportsman. This bike sold earlier today, and I don't remember the price, but if you go to my other page, the Vintage Motocross Buyers and Sellers Price Guide, you can see what this bike sold for. Here's a 1974 Yamaha YZ250A. I watched this bike go over the block this morning. It is complete, however, it has all the battle scars of racing that you'll ever see on a bike, but it is complete, with the exception, it looks like, of a side panel. The pipe's a little rough on it. The tank is very rough. This bike brought $5,500 this morning as it went over the block. $5,500. In need of restoration, but very complete. It's a nice little Harley, Baja 100. And just bear with me a second. I'm going to scoot around to the other side and see if we can find a few more motocross bikes that we can get a look at and I can tell you a little bit more about. I see a couple of Montesas off in the distance. I'm going to get a chance to get over here and give you guys a look at that. Montesas were very, very strong this year. We saw Gray Ghost yesterday, and I believe another VA, and one brought, I think, 12,000, and the other, the Gray Ghost, brought even more than that. But right here is a nice little 125. Paintwork is very, very nice on this bike. So is the hardware, and everything seems to be as it should on this great little bike. I'm going to get over to this side of the room. We've got an 83 Yamaha YZ250. Looks like a pretty tidy bike with a DG pipe. (1983) CR 480. And we've got some other YZs, KX 420, a nice RM 400, and a 1979 Honda CR 125. I'm not sure what's happening with the shocks on this bike. I've never really seen anything quite like that before. This looks like a quick and dirty restoration to me. Not a bad bike, but not a show bike. It is a real nice race bike. I don't really want to say anything that bad about it. It's just that, you know, the paint and certain things, certain details of the bike left a little to be desired. It's a beautiful AJS. And I'm going to scoot around here and take a look at a couple of more bikes. Another bike you don't see every day, an SWM. This is, of course, a 1980 SWM-R powered by a Rotax 400. On this side we have a 79 Honda CR250. This bike looks a lot nicer than the 125 that was just across the aisle, although it does have the wrong cover on the seat. It does have the correct front number plate. And the engine, whoever painted this engine, it really looks good. It's got a little bit of a flat finish to it that was found on a bike when it was new. I'm going to go over one more aisle. I'm going to give you a shot of a couple of more bikes. (1979) Honda CR250. This has what I'm going to guess is a works replica swing arm on it. I don't think it's the real deal. Could be a Corral Landris arm. But this is a real tidy little nice little race bike. I like the gold anodized wheels, the pipe, and this bike, I believe, was sold today for, I think it was a very reasonable $4,500. (1973) CZ250. This bike brought $7,500 this morning. I thought that was a bit high for a 73 250. But it is done very, very well. I think this is a Dave Boysen bike as well. It's got the correct pipe on it. Cases are polished nicely. The carburetor, well, let me get another shot of that carb for you. It was either vapor blasted but the clamps are correct. The hardware looks nice on this bike. The chrome on the rims. And again, this bike sold earlier today for $7,500. Well, I think that's about it for right now in this bike corral. I may be back later with some more video for you live from the Mecum Moto auction. I want to thank you all again for watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. And if you get a moment, visit our sponsors, TMC Company and Vinco. Show a body, live from Vegas.